Peace, everybody. Welcome to the Vital Hoops Podcast. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB, and I am your host. This is episode number 20. Now, you already know we always have very special guests over here on Vital Hoops, on the Vital Hoops Podcast. But today's guest is extremely special. Today's guest is a visionary. He's a social activist. He's been a social activist for over 25 years, working in the community, working for our people, community organizations. He worked in the entertainment business. He's a culture builder. He's a real hip hopper. He represents the culture the way it needs to be represented. And he's mentored many youth throughout the years. He is always innovating. Cherry Street Farm, Hip Hop is Green, and the 10th element of hip hop. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Tucker. Keith, how you doing, my brother? Welcome to the Vital Hoops Podcast.
I'm excited to be here, man.
It's an honor to have you, man. I'm glad you're here. You know what I mean? I've been following your work and everything for a while. And it's dope, man. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Man, it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor just to do the work. You know what I mean? Do the work.
No doubt. I know it is for you, my brother. So listen, before we get into, what we're here for, I want to talk a little bit about, basketball with you, man, because I know, I want to know a little bit about you. Are you, because I know I've read some things about you supporting the Seattle Storm and everything. And I know you enjoy the game of basketball, man. So do you have a past in the game? You ever played, or what's up? Tell me a little bit.
Listen, man, the reason why I came on your show was because you were talking about basketball, right?
Okay.
That was my first reason, because a lot of people don't know, man, that playing basketball was my first love.
Wow.
I don't know how old I was when I started, but it had to be like 6, 7 years old, playing basketball. And I just fell in love with the game. And so I was serious, man. I wanted to be in the pro basketball league and the NBA.
Wow.
And, I played in the 70s and 80s. So, that was a long time ago. But,
Okay.
I remember my first people that I loved, man, was the Seattle Sonics, man, when we had the Sonics here. And I was a big fan of Gus Williams and Dennis, what's Dennis's last name? I don't remember, but Gus Williams and Jack Sigma and the Sonics and that whole team that won the NBA championship there. And
man,
I
followed Sean Kemp and Gary Payton for a while, man.
Yeah,
I
man.
love them dudes.
Kemp, Gary,
I love them dudes.
Telling you, man, that Seattle has so many different people that have come into the league, man, that has done so many, like Nate Robinson and Jamal Crawford. And,
no doubt.
A lot of people, man.
Yeah, I know, and I know it's a basketball city. They love the game out there.
Yeah, man. That's all we do, all day in the summer, when it's not, sometimes even when it's raining, we're out there, playing hoop, man. So, that's where I started, just, every day on the court playing hoop, man. And then, got into organized basketball. And then I played in California as well, too. The thing that really stopped my basketball career was me. I had 1 foot on the court and 1 foot in the streets. You know what I mean? And
I know.
That 1 foot in the streets, man, was you can't be 1 foot on the court and 1 foot in the streets if you're really trying to do something with your career. It's got to be all in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's really what kind of derailed me from playing. But I still played after high school and all of that stuff into
nice.
And yeah, man, until I got an Achilles tear, and then I was out for a minute with that, but I came back from that, you know what I mean? So it's just on and on.
That's tough.
I'm an athlete, man.
Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of brothers, miss out on opportunities, with the game because of, the streets and whatnot, just going other ways sometimes because of necessity or, they don't have the right leadership around them. You know how it is.
Yeah,
but
your environment that
Mm-hmm.
you're in, and who you hang out with and all of that stuff, man. I started, with that 1 foot in the street thing, man, when I was like 13 years old, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the environment I lived in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's I'm just thankful that I'm still here, and RIP to a lot of people that we lost that didn't make it through,
No doubt.
the crack era and all that time that I lived through.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Serious times, man. No doubt. R.I.P.
mm-hmm.
Listen, any hope of the Seattle Supersonics coming back, man?
You know what, man? So right now is probably the best chance that we've ever seen for the Sonics to come back. We got a mayor, Bruce Harrell. Shout out to Bruce Harrell,
Mm-hmm.
who grew up in the central area where Black people come from in Seattle. He went to Garfield High School, which is the #1 Black school. It
Wow.
was what #1 Black school in Seattle, and played for the Huskies as well too. So he's really serious
Okay.
about bringing the Sonics back. We got a new stadium and a new place, Climate Pledge Arena, which is brand new, state of the art, all that. So
That's beautiful.
everything is there for it to happen. So I know Gary Payton's involved in trying to make something happen, and Sean
That's dope.
Kemp as well. And so
Yeah.
those people, I hope and pray they do. And if they do, I'm season ticket all the way. I don't care what
I hear you. I hear you, man. I hear you. And hopefully well, I know the Seattle Storm they're a
Oh,
great team, man.
the
Would they have like 4 championships, don't they?
4 championships, man.
Wow.
Like, it's no joke here, man.
Yeah.
Like, for real, Sue Bird, the legend, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yeah.
Right here, man. And so it's just it's a basketball town, man,
It
for
is. It
real.
is. That's
And so
beautiful.
we love our hoops, and and I'm just hoping that the Sonics come back, man, because
No doubt.
nobody wants to be driving down to Portland to check out the games, man. So that's the only option we got right now.
I feel you, man. Shout out to Damian Lillard though, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
that
Yes.
boy
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
killer.
He's from Oakland, man.
He's
I
a
went.
killer. And he's plant-based, ain't he? Isn't he
Yeah,
plant-based
yeah,
too?
he's
Or,
plant
yeah,
based
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. No doubt.
So when I was playing hoop, man, I moved from Seattle to the Bay Area,
Uh-huh.
and so I played all of those Oakland dudes, man, and the Bay Area dudes down there, man. So that was a really good experience for me to get out of Seattle and
For sure.
play in another area. So that was really cool, just to see how my skills landed up with them. So I
Hmm.
did pretty well, man. I mean, the first day I came there, I got on the court and was lighting them up.
Uh-huh.
Somebody tried to elbow me and we got in a fight. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great.
You're like, that's your type of game.
Yeah, this is gonna
No
be
doubt.
awesome. I can't wait. This is awesome. So yeah.
That's what's up. All right. That's what's up, man. So listen, man. So let's talk a little bit about it. So you went from, playing ball to the streets to, everything a young brother goes through.
Yep.
But talk to me a little bit about your plant-based journey. How did that all begin? How did you get into that? And
Yeah.
then talk to me about how that, came to how, hip hop is green. Hip hop is green came into life. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. So when right around when I was playing basketball in Oakland, right around that time, man, that was when hip hop was really being birthed.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the early, late 70s, early 80s when the birth of hip hop was really happening. It goes back to 73, but really for everybody, when Sugar Hill Gang came out in 79, that's when
Right.
really everything was on and popping from there. So I'm just saying that because hip hop has always been a part of my life, from when I was a little kid. So I've always been a part of the founding, members and all of the different legends and pioneers that founded hip hop, right?
Right. Right.
So my life was a total, parallel to hip hop culture. So I lived it and ate it up. So by the time the 2000s came, I was working with young people and had, I was an activist in the community, right?
Okay.
Been an activist for many years. I don't know if people know, but the second chapter of the Black Panthers was founded here in Seattle. So
Wow. Okay. That's interesting, man. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I know the whole story. Elmer, shout out to Elmer and Aaron Dixon, the Dixon brothers. They were the
Hmm.
people who founded the Black Panthers here in Seattle. A
Wow.
lot of us first generation hip hoppers are, born and raised and taught and mentored by the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
So
No doubt. No doubt.
yeah, so that's where we get our activism part, from is the
Hmm.
civil rights and Black Panther and Black Power movements and all of that stuff. So that was ingrained into me really once I woke up out of being involved in drugs in the streets and all of that stuff, right? So now, I find myself working with my community, giving back to the community and trying to do as much as I possibly can to not only help the community but find my purpose as well too, and so I gravitated towards that kind of work.
Mm.
And so in the 2000s, or actually, yeah, about 2000, that's when hip hop kind of came back to me, and I kind of got involved in hip hop a little bit deeper.
Hmm.
I was on the Up and Smoke tour with Snoop and Dre, and I went to 13 cities with them, and
Man, I
people.
remember that tour like it was yesterday. I was a fan of that. My cousin and I, we were rewinding
Okay.
the tape, watching that all day.
Yeah, Ice Cube came out the stage in the big Ice Cube. So
Yeah, man, that was a dope tour, man. Up
him
in
and
smoke.
him, yeah, Up in Smoke. Everybody was on it.
Mm.
So, man, that was a really good tour, and people knew me at that time because I used to sell the two-way pagers. So
Okay.
I always had a hustle, man. I was like the two-way pager dude of the rap industry. Like
Word.
everybody had a two-way pager from me. And I had to hook up here in Seattle. I took the market from $25 a pager all the way up to $400 a pager. So, and I was getting them for free. So, the
Wow.
profit margin on that was crazy.
Mm.
And, I built a network all around the country while I was on the Up and Smoke tour. I would find a hustle dude in the city and say, hey, you want to make some money slinging these pagers? Boom, 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 boom. Got a
Wow.
whole network, and I started selling them nationally, man.
That's
You
crazy,
know,
man.
yeah, man. So that's how hip hop really came back to me on a business level. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I just started rolling from there. I was working with nonprofit organizations. I had my own nonprofit organization at that time. It was under a different name, but it was basically trying to mentor young kids that, like me, that were having issues in school or in the streets or whatever. You know what I mean? It was an organization like that. Somebody reached out to me and was like, "Hey, man, KRS-One is coming to town and I'm having trouble reaching him, man. Can you help me out?" You know what I mean? And so I reached out to KRS and was able to negotiate the deal and got him to perform with this guy. And also, on the side, I was like, man, why don't you come and speak to some of the kids that I work with at this school, alternative school.
Right.
He came through, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And that was the first time we met,
Uh-huh.
and he brought the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. And people don't know what that document is, but it was founded in 2001 on May 16th, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives 18 principles which guide hip hop culture. And it's a really famous documentary. I wish it would get more press and more study and
Yeah.
more, into colleges and universities and all that stuff, man.
Yeah,
Because
it's a great document.
yeah,
Mm.
it is, man. And we always give energy to things in hip hop that are not necessarily positive for us. We give so much energy to that stuff, man.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to giving energy to something that can uplift us and that's positive, the press ain't there, the hip hop people
Exactly.
don't be
Yeah.
there. Some of them, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot wrong, like we refer to we refer to commercial rap music as hip hop all the time also, you know what I mean? So that doesn't do service to the culture. You know what I mean? So all the negative aspects like the degrading of women, the promoting of using drugs all the time and all this, like so people view that as hip hop, and that's not what it is.
Yeah,
So
that's just rap music. That's the
yeah.
rap music
Mm.
industry. So yeah, that's different than the culture. And we have to always delineate that. Like, you got hip hop culture over here, and then you got the rap music industry. That's totally different. But
Hmm.
yes, it's still part of the culture, but it's
Yeah,
not the whole thing. So
exactly.
and after meeting KRS and creating relationship with him and learning from him. We're peers, because I'm the same age as him. So I'm not, it's a good relationship that we had as friends, and I respect him as the teacher, and I learned a lot from him, and he learned things from me. So we had that relationship. And then
Okay.
I had been talking about hip hop culture on radio shows and stuff like that. And here in Seattle, I was on a local radio show, and we had conversation. And for some reason, the lady that ran the local radio show didn't want the show anymore or whatever. And they called me up and it's like, "Hey, we got this slot open. You want your own radio show?" And I'm
Wow.
like, "Yeah, I think I can do that." You know
That's
what I
dope.
mean? So
Yeah.
I found myself on 1150 AM KKNW, man, with the Keith Tucker show. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, man. So I devoted my show at that time to just educating people about hip hop culture.
Nice.
Right. And learning and using the hip hop Declaration of Peace as a guide for my show, because nobody had ever on radio dissected that document and talked
Right.
about
Right.
it and all that stuff. So I produced a series called Hip Hop Beyond Rap, where we dissected the then 9 elements of hip hop culture.
Uh-huh.
And so every week I would bring in an expert to talk about each element of hip
That's
hop
so dope.
culture.
Yeah, that's
and
dope.
and then we had legends and pioneers and all kind of people come on that show, man. It was just, Chuck D, Big Daddy Kane. I could just Melly Mel. I can just go on and on with the legends and pioneers that came in. Shout out to Sha Rock, the first female MC
MC.
in the
Yeah.
world. Shout out to
Ooh,
her. She came through.
that's
So,
dope.
it was a great experience for me, man. So
Uh-huh.
that was the diving board that created the energy that created Hip Hop is Green, the Keith Tucker show.
No
So
doubt.
I did that for almost 2 years. And one day I think I was either so it was Public Enemy was coming to town. One of
Mm-hmm.
my buddies that is the manager for Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Okay.
Shout out to Ricardo. He hit me up and was like, "Hey man, they're coming to town." I'm like, "Well, why don't we do a welcome to Seattle dinner for Public Enemy?" You know what I'm saying? So we put that together, and then we found out that a lot of them were vegetarian, and I didn't know that. Like that was the first time I was like, "Damn, man! Like really?"
So you
Yeah.
weren't, yeah, you weren't a vegan
No,
yet or vegetarian. Okay,
no,
okay.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had cut out pork. I cut out eating salt. I was kind of I thought at the time
Going to a
conscious.
healthy path.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, healthy. Because I had started martial arts
Yeah.
in '94, and
Yeah.
so I was in jogging and working out and doing all that stuff, man.
Mm.
And by that time when I had my show, shoot, now it's 2007. So I had been doing it for a while.
Okay.
So yeah, so when they said that it just I just put a check mark in the back of my head, like, oh, okay, yeah, wow, I've never heard about that before. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And and then I met Stic and M1 of Dead Prez. I met them like in 2003. And we formed a really cool relationship every time they came to Seattle, or when I
Nice.
was in another city, I would hook up with them. And they came to town and took me to a vegan Jamaican restaurant.
Wow.
And you know what I'm saying? And that's the first time I ever been to like a black Jamaican vegan spot. You know what I mean?
No
And
doubt.
I ate the food and
Ita.
I tell, yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
I was blown away, man. I was like, oh, the seasonings and the spices, and yeah, this is what I like right here.
Yes, sir.
Plantains and all of that. I was like, uh-huh. So I created an idea in my head from that. And I was like, man, I want to interview people in hip hop that are vegan. Like that's a thing. So I
Dope.
started researching that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like finding out everybody in hip hop and putting my show together and making the connection between how we eat and our health and diabetes, cancer,
Yeah,
heart
man.
attack, and stroke, and
Mm-hmm.
all the no. I mean, I did a intensive search and all that, man. Come to find out, man, that the all the research basically led me to not really producing a radio show, but actually wanting to do a documentary on the whole subject.
Wow.
And so I actually left radio and
Mhm.
started working on this documentary that I was doing.
Nice.
And through that documentary, although it didn't happen, it opened up the door for me to hold the first ever Hip Hop is Green dinner.
Mm.
Because my goal with the documentary, because I had to raise like $4 or $5 million, and
Mm.
every venture that you do is a lesson for something else. Even though I didn't
Yeah.
raise money, it still taught me so many
Of
things,
course.
man, that I use
Mm.
now. And it opened up the gate for me to do those hip hop green dinners. So
Nice.
it was like the end result of me, like I was like, okay, I want to do this film, and I want to show people what happens when I go on a vegan diet for the first time,
Okay.
right? So I'm like, I'm not vegan, but I've tried the food. I'm gonna go vegan. I'm gonna have you guys watch me lose weight, get in shape, go
Dope.
vegan, interview people in hip hop that are vegan, all this stuff I was gonna do,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, the film was
Man,
called.
that
Go
should
ahead.
that film, man. I want to see that, man.
Yeah,
What was it
yeah.
called? What was it called?
Pursuit of a Green Planet.
Hmm.
Yeah, Pursuit of a
Nice.
Green Planet. And so, the end result, like to me, in my mind, I was like, okay, what's the end result do you want from this, Keith? Like, what do you want to get out of it?
Mm.
And I was like, to myself, I was like, I want to educate the community about plant-based foods. And then ultimately, I want them to try plant-based foods.
Mhm.
After you watch this film, go try some plant-based foods and start getting into health and wellness and all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
obviously, you want the film to make money and promote your brand, whatever you're
Of
doing, and
course.
all that stuff. But the most important thing to me was young people in the community getting turned on to health and wellness,
Mhm.
really.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, man, like I can spend $4 million on this film and do all of this stuff, which I'm not having success with, or I can do these hip hop green dinners and actually get to the end result right now. Like
Mm.
I can put food in kids' mouths
Mm.
right now
Wow.
and change their lives with the food right now.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We held the first hip hop green dinner. We called them hip hop green dinners. So it
Okay.
was no hip hop is green
Yeah. Yeah.
then.
It was just the
It was
green
just hip
dinner.
hop green dinner.
Yeah.
And I just called some of my people that I knew that was vegan in hip hop, and I said, "Hey, man, come, perform in my event." And I got some speakers and performers, and then we got the food lined up, and we served the first vegan meal to young people. We had about 150 people there, man.
Wow.
And this is
That's
like you
dope,
got to
man.
think,
That's a lot of
like,
people. Yeah.
yeah, I did everything in 22 days,
Wow.
and my partner was like, "Dude, man, like,
Sorry.
just call it off, man. Like you got to raise the money, you got to get the venue, you got to get the people, you got to do all this, you got to promote." I was like, "Man, he's like, you can't do that in 22 days." And I was like, "I bet you I can. I'm gonna prove you wrong." And so, did my magic, man, and got all the people there. And the event I was real nervous because it's not like what it is now today. Like mainly a lot of people know about veganism. There's all these
Yeah.
products. It's a mainstream thing now.
Mm.
Like back in 2009, man, especially black folks, we
Yeah.
wasn't thinking none about veganism,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know about it. So the nervousness was there because I was like, okay, what if we serve this vegan food? The kids, try it. A couple of them don't like it, and they're like, "Oh man, this stuff is nasty."
Yeah.
And then nasty travels around the whole event,
Yeah.
and
Give it a
people leave.
bad rap. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the worst, you know. But honestly, man, we served them the food. We had the performances, and they really loved the food.
That's nice.
And they were like, wow, I don't feel like that big, heaviness in my stomach. And it feels like light and fresh, and the spices, all that stuff came together. And I was like, and there was a real tangible energy in the room when we did the hip hop green dinner.
Okay.
That's what I really noticed, man. I noticed that what I call now, and I didn't know it then, but I call it now the epiphany moment.
Okay.
So the epiphany moment is when you come to realize something for the first time and it changes your life forever.
Mm,
That's the epiphany moment.
that's deep, man.
Yeah. And I didn't know, but I felt it
Okay.
that a lot of epiphany moments was happening in this room that I was in because of hip hop
Uh-huh.
and vegan food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Right?
the energy was deep.
It was deep, man. It was deep. And, you know, so I was like, th- this is something that I'm really gonna do. I'm gonna put some effort into this. I'm
Uh-huh.
really gonna put some effort to grow this thing. So um after that, I did one in Portland.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and we had 600 people in that at that one. So it started growing.
Mm,
I think my budget was like 3,000 for the first one. Now my budget's up to 8,000 for the second one I did. Then
mm,
I did another one in Oakland. I think my budget was 10,000 for the one I did in Oakland, and that Oakland one was crazy. I got a story about every green dinner we ever did, but that Oakland one
yeah, so.
really tested me
Mm-hmm.
because the school was in the hood,
Mm-hmm.
and it was it was just full of young kids whose parents was basically on crack. That's
Wow.
what I could basically say. I walked in there the first day,
Man.
man, and it was like fighting. I was in the office with the principal, and she was just dealing with problems.
Mm,
Got a conference here, fight here, there. I mean, like there was no learning going on, and I
mm,
was
mm,
like, "How can you? I mean, how are you doing this? You
mm.
know what I mean? Like, how is this happening?" And so once we did the dinner, it was interesting because she's like, Keith, listen, I gotta feed the kids their lunch because they may not get a meal when they go home. So we gotta make sure that they get some food, you know what I mean?
No
And I
doubt.
went in the lunchroom and I seen what they was eating, man. It was all sugar and fat and carbs.
Mm.
That's all it was, man. I was
That's
like,
how
no.
it be at schools, man. These schools.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is not gonna be cool, man. And
Mm,
so anyway, they ate that meal and they was bouncing off the walls by the time we were doing our hip hop green dinner. You know
mm.
what I mean? I went up on the stage. This is the first time I ever experienced that. I went up on the stage and them kids wasn't even listening to me. They wasn't even concerned about nothing I was saying or any nothing. So I was like, and I had the performers there and I had some doctors. I had all kind of stuff happening, right?
Right.
And the food was sitting there, and I was like, you know what, man? Let's just serve the food. Let's just serve the food. Let's serve the food. Let's serve the food. So they came up, they got the food, and when I was up there first, it was so loud in there, I couldn't even hear anything.
Uh,
And once they started eating the food, you could actually hear the decimals come down, and the energy started coming down, and they started mellowing out. It was like when they say food is medicine,
right.
it's what and me and my buddy and Ashell, that's the first time I met Ashell. Shout out to Ashell C Sons. He's the first rapper that put out a all sustainable vegan hip hop album in history.
Word.
Uh, yeah, man, Ashell C Sons. Shout out to him, man.
What's the name of that? I need to check
It-
that out.
it's called Earth Amplified.
Okay.
Earth Earth Amplified. He got a song on there called Food Fight and a whole bunch of others.
No
But he
doubt.
was the first person that came and gravitated towards what I was doing. And so we both looked at each other and I was like, man, get on the stage and start rapping, man. So he got on the stage and started doing his thing, and we were able to successfully complete the dinner. And
Wow.
that's the first time I was like, man, food actually changes people's,
Yeah.
brain waves when they eat it. You know
Yeah.
what I
No
mean? I
doubt.
saw it happen for real with a whole auditorium of kids.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
So long story short, man, now we're into like 2015 and I've done green dinners and I know how to do it. I've assembled a team. Stic and M1 are working with me, and I got a little team of people, man. I'm like, okay, how can I take this further? What can I
Uh-huh.
do? And I was like, well, damn, man, why don't we just have like a plant-based tour where we go around the whole country doing
Uh-huh.
this?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I raised about 150 grand. We went to 8 cities.
Uh-huh.
And that's where people started knowing, us nationally. Every time we went to a city, we'd have people come there, hey man, I'm a rapper, or I'm a break dancer, or I do graffiti, whatever element you're
Nice.
doing,
Yeah.
and I'm a vegan too, and I'm in the health and wellness, or
Dope.
I'm an organic farmer. You know what I'm saying?
Dope. Dope. Dope.
It
So
all
did
fits.
did you travel with some artists at all, or you just had like
Yeah.
the local artists? You did
No,
both.
man. We
Yeah, you
travel.
did.
We have both. Because
Mm,
I always is like this, man. If I come to someone's city,
mm,
I'm not gonna just come to someone's city and just have my artist. I want somebody
no
from
doubt.
the city as well too,
Yeah.
locally,
To
to welcome
represent.
the
Yeah,
city and
yeah.
all that, represent, and be respectful.
For
So
sure.
that's what we did in every single city that we went to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in 2005, I'm 15, excuse me, I called that tour the Hip Hop is Green Tour.
Mm.
So that's really where we got our name from. And it actually goes
Yeah, yeah.
back to the film I was making. When I was making the film, I don't know how I got an interview with this guy, but Van Jones is a CNN correspondent now,
Yeah.
but he was really into the green movement at that time and had a whole bunch of organizations. And I interviewed him. And
Okay.
here's his quote. He said, Keith, he said, hip hop is the drumbeat of the whole world. And if hip hop decides to move in a green direction, the world will move in a green direction. That's the quote he gave me.
Mm.
And I always remembered that quote for some reason. And I really am not the dude to remember quotes, but I remembered that one.
That one hit you. That one hit
It
you.
hit me. Yeah. But the part that hit me was he said, if hip hop moves in a green direction, the if. And I
Yeah.
was like, nah. I was like, nah, man, hip hop is green. Like, like,
Wow.
like this is a declaration that I'm
Yeah,
making,
man. No doubt.
like for real.
Eh,
So that's why I called it the Hip Hop is Green Tour.
Word. That's
Yeah.
that's dope, man.
Yeah. So
That's
we
dope.
did the first ever plant-based hip hop tour in history, man, in 2015, man. So shout out to everybody that was on that tour. I mean, like I met so many dope MCs on that tour, man. Like, and that started working with me from then on.
Right.
Shout out to Rock and Soul Messiah,
Woo. I'm a
Beast.
fan, man. I'm a fan. Their music is so dope, man. I be
Yeah,
dope.
but we've been like working since then, and we've been all around the country
Mm-hmm.
doing things with Rock and Soul Messiah. And interesting enough, when I was doing the Atlanta hip hop green dinner there, and I think we had like 900, maybe 1,000 people at that one. It's at a organic farm outside, all that.
Nice.
It was great, man.
Nice.
And I was trying to get some food from Whole Foods, and I
Mm-hmm.
went to the Whole Foods there, and they donated like a big case of watermelon. They donated some corn and just stuff that you can eat out on a picnic setting, right?
Nice. Yeah, yeah,
And I was walking around, and I was like, I know that's not Rock right there. I was like, Sarah? She's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, I explained to her what was going on. She
yeah. Right.
actually worked there. She worked
Okay.
there in the vegetable department. Like
Nice.
she's a crazy vegan and she knows her stuff. You
Right,
know?
right, right. For
So
sure.
that's where I met her. She was working at Whole Foods.
Nice.
So
So what
yeah,
year was that? That was a little while
that
ago,
was
right?
2015. Yeah, that was
Oh, okay.
2015
Okay.
because she ended up coming on a couple dates with us after the Atlanta tour. She's from Washington D.C.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were in D.C. I made sure I contacted her and Soul Messiah and
Mm.
got them to the D.C. Green dinner that we did. And now I've done events everywhere, but I will say that DC Green Dinner was among the best green dinners that we ever did.
Mm.
Um, because of, all the people that came out and really represented in DC.
Dope.
First of all, the event was right across the street from a park where they were shooting dope and selling dope and all of that stuff. It was right in the hood,
Wow.
the hood.
Yeah, yeah,
Matter
yeah. I
of
feel
fact,
you.
they were selling dope in front of the door of our recreational facility. You know what I mean? So, you know me with my background, I'm coming in there, I'm peeping out everything, what's going on, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be crazy right here. And then I think we had came from an organic, yeah. All of us that was performing, we were invited to come to an organic farm that day, and man, we were picking all kind of fruit. I had some Asian pears. I mean, this organic farm, man, it was the best thing ever. Can you imagine, like, you got MCs and DJs and all that stuff, and we're walking through an organic farm, man, picking all that stuff, and
That's
just
crazy.
doing it.
Yeah,
So
dope.
I got the bucket of Asian pears I'm carrying,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, you know what? I was like, F it, man. I'm gonna go over here and talk to these dudes. So I went over there in the park.
Uh-huh.
I was like, hey, we're doing an event here, serving the kids. We're bringing health and wellness to the community. Here's some Asian pears. Put some electrolytes in your system, bro. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
they was asking me questions and all that stuff, and when the event was and all that. I was like, it's all good. Like I said, man, when I go wherever, I always want to be respectful to the people that are there. I don't care who it is, if I'm in the hood or whatever. And I'm really trying to do the hip hop green dinners in the hood. That's
Yeah,
where we
no,
need the most,
it's
man.
for our people. That's what we want. That's who we want to reach.
Like, I'm not scared of going in any hood, nowhere.
No doubt.
I don't care, man. Like,
Mm.
let's do it. So, 3 days later, bad day, storming, all that stuff, and it's on a Friday. So I'm like, man, like, I know what's going on Friday. I got to get, when I was back out doing my dirt, Friday's the night where you got to get your packages off. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time to go. Like, so I'm like, okay, that's not even going to look right with the people there trying, coming into the event, all that stuff. So anyway, I showed up, man, and I'm noticing, like, my spidey senses is going off, and I'm like, man, what? Like, where's all the people that was in the park, like, selling all the stuff, man? And
Right.
I don't see no paraphernalia on the streets or anything. It's like clean.
Mm.
When I walk in the facility, I don't see nobody around there doing their thing. And the dude that's helping me set it up,
Uh-huh.
I seen him in there, and then I seen a whole bunch of kids in the corner waiting for the event to start. And I'm like, "Hey, bro, what's going on, man? Like, where's all the people? What's happening?" He's like, "Keith, man, I ain't never seen this before. The dope guys, that's their kids over there in the corner. They sent their kids to your event, cleaned up the park and the streets, and left.
Wow. That's dope, man.
That's how we
That's
started
amazing.
That's how we started the Green Dinner, man, in Washington, D.C. And when I tell you it was on and popping, man, we had the
That's dope.
Nation of Islam came there. They said, Keith, man, we just want to support what you're doing, man. And all those brothers was there. All the different Black chefs and people that were into health and wellness in the DC area, whether they were writing books or they were doctors. The DC dentist, he's a vegan, he came there. Dick Gregory's daughter,
Wow.
shout out to Ayana, she was there. She actually helped with the kids and stuff like that, and did some singing and performing and all that stuff. I didn't know she could sing and rap. She was
I
on
didn't
it.
know. You just telling me now. I didn't know.
Gregory's daughter could throw down. Shout out to
Word?
Ayana Gregory, man. Yeah.
Okay. Man.
So so we formed a relationship there. And it was just great. And Saw Rock came. And funny thing is, there was a big giant kitchen,
Mm.
and it was really perfect for doing like an intimate performance. You know how they're doing performances now on a podcast where they've got a table or something like that, and then they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, this was out of the kitchen. So we did the performance right there with Rock in the
Nice.
kitchen. I think there's some photos on our website of her just doing her thing right there in her hometown, man, and tearing it up. Because
Nice.
I didn't know how much of a beast she was, man, till she came
Yo,
and
she's a
did her
beast, man.
thing there in DC. So you know what I mean? So and she shares her story and talks about why she's vegan and
Mm.
how it's helped her and when she started in her path and all of that stuff. So it's good for young people to really see that side of hip hop as
No
opposed
doubt.
to the other side that we're talking about in the rap industry. So
No
that's
doubt.
one of the things that we want to do to break down those stereotypes and open up different avenues to
Hmm.
health and wellness. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Man,
man.
that's dope, man. Much respect to you, Keith, man, because what you're doing is important, man. And I've been feeling it, man, ever since I heard about the movement, man. I've been following, checking it out because, you know, me, my vegan journey started in 2016.
Mm,
But before that, my brothers, my brothers are older, you know what I mean? So when I was younger, my brothers, they were living in New York City, and they became Rastas. You know what I'm saying? So the whole vegetarian thing was already resonating inside my conscious and everything. And then when
Yeah.
I was in high school, I did the same as you. I stopped eating pork, you know what I mean? Because I was influenced through, Malcolm. And then, as an athlete, as a ball player, I felt better, man. So then I was like, I'm gonna stop eating red meat. So I stopped eating red meat, and my performances was, benefiting from that. And I was like, yo, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling good. So and I educated myself. I was like, man, let me try this thing. And when I went full blown, um, also through hip hop education, because if you read, for example, you know what I mean? If you read, for example, the Gospel of Hip Hop by KRS, there's a little section there. You know what I'm saying? I want to hold on. Let me get into this real quick.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Real quick, man. The Gospel of Hip Hop, you know what I mean? By KRS. Okay, so if you open the book, if you got the book, you open the book to page 215, right? That's the health section, right? So this is third principle, right? For those of you who don't know. So this is nothing new. You know what I'm saying? This is nothing new. Third principle. The Temple of Hip Hop advises all members to lessen their intake and eventually abstain from eating of animals and animal products. This includes milk, cheese, butter, lard, eggs, and other animal products. There is simply too much evidence that points to the destructive results of continuously eating animals and their products.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's it.
So, it's just a lot, man. It's a lot. And then when I started learning about the environment capacity, everything that's happening with the environment, and the eco side that we're living today, it was just too it's just obvious to me today. But I still don't understand how people don't, get the thing. But
yeah, what I forgot to mention, shout out to KRS One again. We had a conversation about his song Beef that he did in 1990, right? We had a long conversation because I was, producing the radio show about hip hops and veganism and all of that stuff. And he was telling me how he was influenced by Elijah Muhammad's How to Eat to Live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's where he was. And then the Rastas as well that you were talking about, because he was in the South Bronx and all of that stuff. And I had known about Rastas and the ITAL lifestyle as well myself, and so that was a big influence on me as well, too, with KRS, prez, and Public Enemy, and of course the Wu-Tang Clan and
the RZA,
RZA.
No
I
doubt.
think
Me too, man. And for sure, prez, huge influence to me as a hip hop artist and
Be Healthy
as a plan. But yeah, man, what? Be Healthy and just everything, man, from the hip hop, the video, man, all the martial arts, the working out, the everything that they brought all that together. But see, for PE, man, I didn't know. I mean, I know Professor Griff now because I look at some of his content. I know Professor Griff is full blown, but I didn't know like it was a thing for PE like that, especially back in the day. But that's interesting, man.
It was interesting to me too, man. Yeah, man. So all of those influences, and I want to also shout out one person, man, that people really don't know because she passed away, but R.I.P. and shout out to Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Yeah, no doubt. With Dr. Sabi. Matter of fact, she was with Dr. Sabi,
and to me, she's like the mother of this whole. She was the first person to really embrace it in a serious way, even before Erykah Badu and all of those other people.
Because I know Badu also been in it for a minute, but
she's been on it for a minute, man. But yeah, man, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, man, she was amazing and she was way forward thinking before anybody, man. So shout out to her on that.
Yeah, rest in power, man, for sure.
Yeah, rest in power.
So listen, my brother. Yeah. I want to get into the 10th element. The 10th element, because this is amazing, man. But before you get into it, let me give you my little story, man. So I learned about it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, this is too dope. Like, for those of you who don't know, I'm Afro-Cuban. So I was in Cuba, and I'm a hip hop artist. I'm a ball player, but in Cuba, the hip hop community is kind of small, so we all know each other. You know what I'm saying? We all know each other. We're all pretty close. And especially those of us who are into, anti-racism, pro-blackness, all of that. So, with my brother Alexei from the legendary Cuban hip hop group Obsession, him and his wife, they started a little organization, like independent, that's called Regla Soul. His neighborhood is called Regla. So shout out to them. So, and my wife and I, we started working with them, and it was all about, plant-based healing for Afro Cubans and people of African descent. That's the main thing. It's just like, plant healing, growing food, like, just healing in general. You know what I'm saying? So with the 10th element, we were like, yo, we got to speak about this, man. We got to speak about this. We got to bring it to the people, because we knew that, sometimes veganism, or, it's not very popular, but like you said, like we make it hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And now the people might listen a little more, you know what I'm saying? So we put together an event, and we're like, we're going to introduce the 10th element here in Havana, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Out, man.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
doubt. So we did that, man. And, I spoke a little bit about it. I translated, everything that you came up with. I, of course, gave credit to Hip Hop is Green and you, and, and I translated everything. And I was like, listen, man, this is happening. So, I translated everything. We did it in Spanish, and then, we performed, and it was a few hip hop artists there, and it was dope, man. But his crib is like a little rooftop in Havana, so it was like real nice, man. So we had a nice event. So just wanted to let you know that, man. So much respect. We did that in 2019, man. 2019.
Gosh,
We did that, man.
amazing. You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what? I feel so wonderful, man, just knowing that you did that, and something that I did touched other people and helped other people with whatever, they're doing in other places, man. That just makes me feel wonderful. I'm
No doubt.
here, like, my spirit is really here to serve people. That's what I'm here for, man. I got another chance in life, and
Wow.
I'm here to use it to serve people.
That's
So
beautiful, man. Listen, that's what Vital Hoops is about, man. So we glad
yeah,
to have you here.
yeah.
But man, listen, like I said, yeah, I feel like it was the perfect match, because, like I said, we read it in the book, like we see the artist, we see the, it is part of the culture. I mean, it is part of culture, but to make it official, man, please tell me about it. How did you come up
Yeah.
with the whole thing, and how did it happen?
Yeah. So, through my studies of the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace is actually where it really, the idea really came to me. The first principle really lays out the different elements in hip hop culture, right? And it also says that if Future and other elements of hip hop culture, that was the line that it said in there, right?
Yeah,
And
no doubt. Yeah, it did. It
I'm
did,
like,
because we
yeah,
have
go
to
ahead.
evolve. We have to evolve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, future elements? That's interesting. You know what I mean? And like, I'm doing these hip hop green dinners. I'm out there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to all the people, and I'm like trying to figure out how I can move it forward and
Mm,
keep innovating. I love to do things that no one else has done before. That's just what I love to do. So I'm like, man, we've innovated here really good, but how can we take it further? And then the idea came to me, man, like we need a new element in hip hop culture. We just need a new element, and that element should be health and wellness, period.
dope,
That
dope.
was the idea. And that was in 2015, right,
Mm,
right around the same time we were doing the tour. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be very respectful to the elders and the legends and the pioneers of hip hop, and I'm gonna write an open letter to hip hop. That's what I did. I wrote an open letter to hip hop
dope.
saying why we need the 10th element, what it is, all that stuff, and I want your permission and
Mm,
guidance and help to make this thing happen. And I sent it to as many legends and pioneers that I could,
dope.
and they sent me back, best idea I ever heard. This is needed more than anything. Yes, we need health and wellness. What do you need? Blah, blah,
No
blah, blah,
doubt,
blah.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I got back.
Mm,
So then I was like, okay, so The 10th element needs its own proclamation. It needs its own hip hop declaration of peace on its own. You know what I mean? Because I felt like to me, and I still feel like health and wellness is one of the most important elements in the culture, because if you don't have health and wellness, you can't be an MC. You can't play basketball. You
No
can't,
doubt.
you can't do anything without health and wellness. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I was like, man, this deserves its own situation,
Yeah.
just on itself. And
Like Styles P said, my bad. I don't mean to cut
go
your
ahead, no,
wisdom,
go
my
ahead.
brother.
Right on.
Like Styles P said, he said, I can enjoy $20 healthy better than you could enjoy 20,000 unhealthy. So you
Thank
gotta
you.
be healthy, man.
Shout
But
out to those.
no
Shout out
doubt.
to, because he,
No.
he's part of what we do too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know.
on several events with us. So he even came to Seattle and performed here too.
Yeah, yeah.
But I gave him an award on the day that we did the proclamation. I gave him a community service award. And when he came out on the stage, the first thing he said is, Keith, man, this is dope. He's like, but the 10th element should be the number one element in hip hop culture. It's the most important element in the culture, because if you don't have health, you don't have nothing else. So that's what
Word.
rocking in there, man. So I'm like, yeah, that's real.
For real, for real. Yeah, no doubt,
So
man.
yeah, so I sent the letter out there, man, and then I'm like, okay, I wrote the proclamation, had that, and then I'm like, okay, so we need to actually like make this official. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, and has there been a gathering with all the different players and people that are a part of this new movement, right? So I call this movement the green age of hip hop. We've had different ages of hip hop, the
yeah.
birth of hip hop, the golden age of hip hop, all these different ages, and the gangster age, and now, we I call it the green age. So I was like, we need to have people gather together and support this document, and we need to have a signature ceremony where they sign the document into existence. And I picked New York because that's the birthplace,
No
obviously, of
doubt.
hip hop
Yeah,
culture,
yeah, it makes sense.
and I didn't want to do it in the South Bronx because the South Bronx has its own legendary stuff attached to it, right?
Mm,
I wanted to do it somewhere where it really had significance to our history, our future, and I chose the Schomburg Library for that. And they have a big auditorium in there, and the Schomburg is like a legendary place where people go to get knowledge. You know what I'm
yeah, no
saying?
doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
So we did it there on April 21st, 2016, which actually is the day before Earth Day.
Mm,
So I wanted to make sure that it's right around that same time,
mm,
right? So every Earth Day, the day before is the 10th element day, right?
yeah, yeah.
For hip hoppers. So we did it there. A lot of people showed up. We got all the footage and stuff like that. I'll release that probably in a movie or something. But we have all of that footage of people there signing the document. And for the first time, we showed the 10 elements of hip hop. So we had people participating in every single element on the stage. And shout out to my dude, Easy AD of the Cold Crush Brothers. Shout out to you, brother, man. I appreciate you. He was the person who really set the stuff up for us in New York and got legends and pioneers. DJ Tony Tone of Cold Crush Brothers was our DJ that day too. So shout
Dope.
out to Tone. And I knew Tony Tone from the Keith Tucker show because he came on my show a few times too. So it's all love, it's all good. You know, people from everywhere were there, man. We had the bartenders there. They got their whole movement that they were doing. So shout out to the
Giant.
bar
Yeah,
giant.
giant. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt.
You know it. We gave
No doubt.
Giant an award
Of
too.
course,
So he
man.
got an award. And just bringing it on home to the basketball world, John Sally got an
Yes,
award
sir.
there, four-time NBA champion.
Yeah,
John
he's
Sally
yeah, yeah, yeah. John Sally, man. It's amazing,
was
yo.
there, man, and he's part of this whole thing. I remember the day I met him, and really how I got him on board, because he wasn't really like fully bought into what I was trying to do. This was early,
Okay.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't really bought in. So we were sitting there
He was
talking.
suspicious. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was suspicious. And he's from Brooklyn, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell him something about you right now, John. John is a baller, right? And John's an MC. And his MC name was MC Juicy J. Juicy J, what's up? Shout out to MC Juicy J.
Word. Okay. Okay.
But so anyway, man, he's suspicious and stuff. And I said, man, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. You've seen all kind of people that had determination in the NBA and that was serious about what they do, right? I said, man, look into my eyes right now. You think I'm playing with this? I'm really gonna make this stuff happen, bro. You looked in the eyes of all kind of winners. I'm a winner, and it's gonna happen, period. And he was like, okay. He called me back about 2 days later. He said, man, Keith, I looked into your eyes and I was like, yep, I think that dude's gonna make it happen.
For
So that's
sure.
how I got John on
That's
board.
dope. That's dope.
Yeah, man. So it was crazy. Again, like the energy of the hip hop green dinners is its own thing, right? So, but the energy of the 10th element is another thing. That's like on a whole nother level.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
And here's how the world just kind of lets you know you're moving in the right direction, man. I had been focusing on manifesting things for years. And I was like, man, one of my great heroes before hip hop was Prince. Prince was one of my favorite dudes, man, in the music industry. Love his music, love what he's about, all that stuff. He's a crazy vegan, you know what I mean? And I was like, man, one day I would love to do a hip hop green dinner at Paisley Park Studios, man. We got to make that happen. That was what was in my mind. So that day, when we've done the whole show, and now we're about to sign the proclamation stage. Somebody comes up to me with a crazy look and a phone in their hand, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And I'm literally on stage, and she just came on the stage, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Prince just died.
Oh my God.
That same day, right around the same time we were doing the event.
That's heavy.
And I had to make the announcement to everybody in the crowd, and everybody's like, you can hear you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, like it's crazy. And then when you got one of the most legendary DJs in hip hop on the stage, you ain't got to say nothing. Yeah. Tony Tone put on right then when I made the announcement after that, and the big Tony Tone just said, boom, let's go crazy.
Word.
So I'm literally with everyone on the stage, we're signing this proclamation with "Let's Go Crazy" happening in the background. And
legendary moment.
Yeah, man, you can feel the chills going through your spine, man, as you're doing it, and everybody was feeling the same thing.
That's a real historic moment to remember, man.
Man. Yeah, man. So that was that 10th element event that we did. And a lot of people in hip hop represent the 10th element all over the world. And I'm gonna tell you, when I created the 10th element, I created it with the future of hip hop in mind, right? Okay. Like, what are we going to have? Just like Kara said in the gospel of hip hop, what's going to be the cuisine of hip hop moving forward? What does that look like? Why are we doing that? You know what I mean? And what does it what does it turn into? What's the next thing after plant-based eating? Like, what's after that? So that was my quest. After we did the 10th element of hip hop, I was like, you know what? I need to have a curriculum developed with this. And so there was we did our last event was in Oakland that year, because we did another tour in 2016 where we went around the country, and we ended up in Oakland. And so when we were in Oakland, that was the first time we ever spoke about the 10th element to other people outside of New York. This is like a 10th element symposium. Okay. So I got Stic, I got Rock, and I had a shell. So okay, so a shell created the first ever plant-based hip hop album in history.
Mm.
And you got Stic over here that created Be Healthy, and
Yeah.
then you got Star
And with
Rock
the
right in the
workout.
middle. And workout one
Yeah.
and two.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then to balance it out with the female industry, we had Stic's wife, Afia.
Yeah.
And she is a naturopath, and she is on point, and she is a beast herself when it comes to an author and all of that stuff, man. So
No doubt.
that was a really great experience to have them, and I just put on the interview hat. Okay, boom, 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 did the whole thing, ran that, and one of the youth that was in the audience was a college student,
Uh-huh.
and that college student was working on a project with their professor, and turned in a project all about the 10th element to the professor.
Wow.
And
That's
then the
dope.
professor contacted me. Hey man, listen, I heard about the 10th element, and I'm a hip hopper, man. For real. And what you're doing with the 10th element. Anyway, long story short, he put together a whole course on
That's
the 10th element
dope.
at Mills College.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, man. So that's how that happened. And then in really, to like capstone this 10th element thing, man.
Mhm.
Once the pandemic happened, man, we couldn't do live events no more. So the hip hop
Yeah.
green dinners, I was like, man, it's just done for
Yeah.
now. I don't even know
I
what's
feel you.
going on. That turned into me really thinking about the next phase of what we're going to do. And
Mhm.
growing food has always been a part of me ever since I was a baby. My grandmother was a farmer and a gardener, and she taught me how to grow food from when I was a baby, man.
That's dope.
And we got land here in Seattle, and I converted that land into a farm, and I was teaching kids how to grow food, and then we teach kids how to cook plant-based food as well. And I really kind of gravitated towards that. So I took my farm and tore it all the way down to the ground,
Mm.
and came up with a whole new way to revolutionize what we're doing. So we're going to be growing food hydroponically on our land, and it's called Cherry Street Farm. So that's what the farm is called. We've
Okay.
got a hydroponic lab. We grow 2.5 acres of food on the lab. We teach kids science, technology, engineering, and math. We also have a kitchen we're building where we're going to be teaching them how to cook in the kitchen, but we also have the curriculum that's tied to it, and that's the Youth Excellence Program.
Dope.
We teach them everything about climate change.
Mm.
That's where I've pivoted to now, right? The next thing past plant-based eating is climate change.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have a whole curriculum developed to teach young people about climate change, because who's teaching the next generation about sustainability and
Yeah.
environmentalism and all of that stuff? We got to teach the next
We
generation so
have to.
that when they get older and they're running things, they're going to have sustainability a part of their principles and a part of what they do. And
No
so
doubt.
I partnered with universities, scientists, geologists, environmentalists, the Washington State Parks Department. We're planting 10,000 trees next year, bro. You know what I'm saying? So we
That's
got
beautiful.
all kinds of stuff we're doing with this program. So really, and when you read the proclamation, you'll read into there, it talks about the planet. It talks
Yeah.
about environmentalism and
No doubt.
climate change and all that in the 10th element proclamation. So that's what we're doing now. That's what we on now.
Man, much respect, my brother. Listen, that's it's what you're saying is real, man. I feel like it doesn't matter what your cause is, man. If you call yourself an activist or an organizer, you need to be looking towards climate change, man. No matter who, no matter what you're working on, because without a planet, we're not even here. You know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? This should be everybody's priority right now. You know what I'm saying? It should be in all movements. You know what I'm saying? So
Thank you.
it's
Like,
real.
like the people need to know, man. Really, here's some of the details.
Mm.
Right now, every system that controls life on planet Earth is in decline, massive decline. So we're talking about soil, water, plants, animals, air, the
Mm.
polar ice caps. Everything is in serious decline. And
Mhm.
what that means is, you got too much carbon in the atmosphere. We got carbon in the atmosphere from digging up all the fossil fuels that are there. We got carbon in the atmosphere from growing animals and the factory farm system that people don't know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, if you look it up, it's called the Bloomberg clock, and the Bloomberg clock tracks the carbon in the atmosphere. I think it was like 427 parts per million the last time I checked. Once it reached 450 parts per million, that's the line where they say that we can never go back from. So we're just gonna have to live with whatever happens to the earth from then. And I mean, 450 is really close to 427. So we're literally on the verge of that right now. So you're talking about like what happens when 70% of the big fish in the sea are gone already. 70%. One out of three bites of food depends on bees, and 40 to 50% of the bees are already gone due to pesticides and stuff that we're spraying on all of the crops. And then we're doing monocrops, and then we're doing genetically altered seeds. And I mean, it goes on and on, man, of what kind of stuff is happening to the planet that people don't know. We just take nature for granted. Like, hey, man, it's just nature, it's here.
Word.
Or I don't even think about nature because I don't even go out in nature because I'm from the hood. You know what I'm saying? But I take kids out to to nature. You know what I mean? And I showed them how to grow food. I showed them what to put into their bodies. All that stuff is what, and what we're doing is we're taking our youth excellence program and we're doing it all around the country in different cities all around the country. We'll have a Cherry Street Farm and a youth excellence program in cities all around the country, teaching the 10th element of hip hop curriculum.
Man, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. Listen, that the nature aspect, man, I always say, we need to get back to a more Afrocentric way of thinking, and our ancestors understood that nature is part of us. It's just part of us. Like today we have separated from it, and we think that nature is one thing and we're another thing. No, we're nature. We're part of nature, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not buildings, we're not machines. Even though we grow in cities, we're natural, we're nature. So, you know what I'm saying? It's important for us to understand that, man. And the work that you're doing, man, is extremely key, man. So I appreciate you for it, man.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time, man. Listen, I know we could rap forever, man, but I'd love to have you back on, man. I'd love to have you back on and
I want to say one last thing too,
no
man.
doubt, no doubt.
I want to invite everybody that's listening. Especially, I want to invite you and your people in next year in 2023 is going to be the 7th anniversary of the 10th element of hip hop on April 21st. We're going to be back at the Schomburg with a second signature ceremony for people that didn't make it to the first one. And, the whole movement has grown immensely since then.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to hold a second signature ceremony for everyone to come out and sign the document. And this document is going to go into a museum somewhere forever. So I'm just letting you know it's going to be on. And next year is the 50th anniversary of hip hop as well, too.
I know.
So,
listen, man,
come through.
It's an honor, my brother. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And like I said, we're going to have you back on, man, hopefully a little closer to that and speak on that a little bit. And you know what I mean? We'll do that, man, for sure.
Thank you for your work. I appreciate what you're doing, man. Thank you for holding that event that you did in 2019.
Thank you, man.
I really appreciate it, man.
It was amazing. Hopefully one day we all do it again with you in Havana, man.
Yeah, man. I would love to do that.
That would be amazing. We're
sure.
gonna keep spreading the good word, man, and power to our people, man. You know what I'm saying? Through everything, through health and wellness. And listen, hip hop is green, man. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
.com and on on all of the social media. Just look up Hip Hop is Green. We're there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna have it all down in the description. So make sure you check it out. And then you get to the website and then you get yourself some merch. You know what I mean? I see, look at the hoodie over there.
Whoa.
So yeah, for those of you watching, for those of you who are listening, you might want to check it out on the YouTube and go get you some merch. But definitely, man, I'm going to have all the info down there so everybody can follow, man. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you so much, brother. I
Peace.
appreciate
Peace.
you. Peace.
Yes. Give thanks to the brother Keith Tucker for an amazing show. Vital Hoops Podcast, episode number 20 is in the books. And, there's one little thing I want to touch on before I do my book recommendation. Brittany Griner is free from prison. She's back in the United States. You know what I mean? For those of you who still don't know, Brittany Griner, who's a professional WNBA player, who also plays in Russia. She was arrested with a hash pen at customs. And so she went to jail for that. And it's horrible that she went to jail for that. But now she's back in the United States, and the president, Joe Biden, wants to take credit for all that. Of course, once again, it's politics. He did a prisoner swap, and now he wants to tell the world that they need to vote for him again in the Democratic Party. Listen, I think it's dope that Brittany Griner can go back home, to her home with her family. I think it's really dope. So shout out to Brittany Griner. She should have never been in prison for that. I also think that instead of bigging up Joe Biden, which we shouldn't do, we need to speak about all the prisoners that are still in prison, for weed, what I'm saying, for marijuana, which is a lot of people who are unjustly behind bars for marijuana. So let's raise that awareness. And also, of course, let's raise the awareness of, political prisoners who should be freed as well. Mumia Abu Jamal. You know what I mean? So free them all, free all political prisoners. And that's that. I want to make sure I touch on that. That's my position as far as the Brittany Griner thing. For my book recommendation, I have this wonderful little book, Eat Plants, Lift Iron, Plant-Based Weightlifting Experiment by Stic of Prez. So this is it for those of you watching. I've had it for a little while. I read it a couple of times. It's dope because it's Stic's experience, trying to gain weight, which he did on a fully plant-based diet while running as well, because he's a runner. He enjoys running, so he didn't want to stop running. So, it's dope. He gained the weight. He had in the book you could see the workouts he was doing. His wife, Afia, who's a nutritionist as well, she was giving out the recipes, and you can check them out in the book. So at least everything that he was eating, you know what I mean? So it's pretty dope. It's a dope little book. If you're interested, you should definitely check it out. Eat Plants, Lift Iron. And, it goes with the whole theme of the day, which is the 10th element of hip hop. We have spoken about it before here on the Vital Hoops podcast. But today we had the man himself, Keith Tucker, who initiated the whole thing to make it official. You know what I mean? So shout out, much respect to Keith Tucker and to all the real hip hoppers out there. Once again, please make sure you support us. We are a people's podcast. You know what I'm saying? And thus we do it for the culture. Make sure you follow us on social media at Vital Hoops Podcast on Instagram, Facebook Vital Hoops, and Twitter at Vital Hoops Pod. Make sure you give us 5 stars, give us a review. Please share the podcast links. You know what I'm saying? Tell your friends, tell your enemies, make it happen. And you know what I mean? That's it. Thank you. Especially if you're supporting, you're listening, and if you're spreading the word. You know what I'm saying? Vital Hoops is for the culture. Peace.